Hi guys, I'm Kristen and this is part 2 of my 6-part series on tools and teachers that help me return to myself. And if you watched part 1 yesterday, it was all about Mother Gaia being my first teacher and what she showed me, which was a lot. And just real quick, she was telling me that I needed to pay attention to my body and that all that stuck and stored emotions and relationships were wanting to be felt and heard and seen and spoken. And that, by blocking them all those years, it kept me very disconnected from awareness of myself and my intuition. So ultimately, she showed me a greater curiosity that was growing within me on those walks. And it was that I wanted to learn more, and I wanted that peace that I was feeling when I was outside to carry into my home and my life, my daily life, because it was real easy for me to, you know, get back into, the day and stuff goes crazy, and then on comes the fight or flight or the overthinking or the headache and all that. And I certainly can't walk all day long, right? Where I was feeling that peace. So I had to figure out how to quiet my mind. And these are some of the tools that worked for me. I just kind of played around with them. But they definitely were teachers, if you will, that most of these I still use today, honestly, that help me learn to quiet my mind and be more present in my body, because that's our biggest messenger is the body, and stop throwing my day away and being controlled by stuff that I didn't even really know was controlling me, right? That subconscious, unconscious reactionary behavior. So first is crystals. And honestly, I just thought they were pretty. So, nothing crossing my mind here yet about everything is energy and that there would be energy in these guys. But I just went to stores and just started picking up crystals that fascinated me, honestly, in different shapes, and some were raw and some were smooth, and who really knew. But these were kind of my starter set, if you will. So the rose quartz, which is pink, the citrine, the amethyst, purples, tiger's eye, tourmaline, black, and then my clear. So I just use those honestly to carry with me, just as a subtle reminder, right? That I need to be present and focused and aware of everything. So it was just a simple guide, if you will, that I just kind of played around with. Some were small, I could wear in my bra, put in a pocket, carry in my purse. And some were larger if I felt like I really needed a reminder. Smells. Gosh, when you're outside and you're just breathing in the fresh air and the rain, or even smell the humidity or the wind, you just realize I was not even paying attention to what I was smelling, and it was so calming. So I wanted to bring that in here. So obviously open windows if I can. Not possible right now. But I played around with incense and sage, right? Because I knew on my walks I was moving that energy by acknowledging it and speaking it and tapping in and using just my senses to feel into it all. So can I do that here? So I have become real big with saging, setting intentions behind it, moving the energy, speaking positive affirmations. And I have just found that, the Palo Santo and the white sage is just really calming for me. And just as soon as I smell it, I just feel like, you know? So smells were big. Frequency, anything frequency related. I've talked about this, turning off the noise. I used to always have the TVs on, so none of that anymore. I just started to be more aware of how does that song make me feel, and then I just started playing around. I mean, here's where technology is so great, right? With YouTube, I mean, you could do a sound bath with the singing bowls, or drums, or just different frequencies. And I thought, oh, I'm just gonna try a subtle background noise and see. And so I played around with that, which ultimately, the whole energy curiosity really moved me towards understanding chakras, because I started to see so much about it out there. And there's a lot of gurus out there on YouTube talking about chakras, or even, teaching you about them. So I highly suggest, if you're interested in that, you just find that guru, because that's kind of what I did, and I bought some books on them. So I really started to teach myself about chakras, specifically our 7 main energy centers that, run straight up and down. And they each coordinate to a color, and they each coordinate to an affirmation, right? So I would play around with it. So if I wanted to focus on my heart chakra for the next week on my walks or whatever, then I made sure I was, wearing the green, carrying the green crystal, or even the rose quartz for love. And, I feel love. And I would just use that love word. I feel love. I feel love. I feel love everywhere. Love is in everything. And I just started to practice and pay attention then to that chakra that I was getting to know, and to see if I could feel anything, or if it made a difference. So chakras became huge for me, huge. And yeah, definitely, if that resonates, definitely encourage you to kind of experiment there. And then ultimately, right, what I was trying to do, my goal was to quiet this, right, and get my brain halves connected, right, so that I wasn't in cognitive dissonance, and I wasn't fear-based, so that all that subconscious, unconscious behavior was rearing its head all the time, and helping me live in the future and the past and not in the present. So meditation, and this was a hard mind to quiet. So I get it, and it took a lot of practice, and I just had to be very consistent there to keep choosing me. It was my choice to choose that and to take that time. So some days I was getting up really early to teach myself, and some days I would just, honestly say, hey, look, I need to go practice and learn how to quiet my mind. And binaural beats were huge for me, especially with the headphones on, because it makes you follow sounds, and it just really helped me teach myself, how to ultimately then get to a space where I could quiet my mind by myself. And there's some great apps out there for binaural beats. I'll put my favorite down, but it was a year-long course, and it was anywhere from 20 minutes to half an hour, and you could only do one a day. And it just basically took you and grew with you over that course of that year. which was extremely helpful for me because, you know, it wasn't easy to learn how to quiet it. And quite frankly, I'm still, you know, challenged with it, you know, at times. So, and then breath work. It wasn't as big for me in the beginning, but it's much more of a bigger piece of my day now than it was in the beginning. But I had followed a couple gurus on Instagram that had some quick, easy breath work for the sympathetic, parasympathetic systems, right? So I started incorporating those. Like if I knew I was getting ready to go into, I don't know, a situation that might have some anxiety, I would practice them on the way in, carry a crystal, say my affirmation, you know, so breath work. So the two that I really used quite a bit in the beginning that worked for me, of course, is the box, you know, the 4-4-4-4. 4 in, hold 4, out 4, hold 4, in 4, hold 4, out 4, hold 4. That's an easy one to do. I still use the box quite a bit. Just a real quick way, if I could feel kind of my heart start racing, or, you know, that fight or flight start to come in, and I know that I'm not connected, I'll use that one. And then another one I really love that I feel like it's a little bit deeper for me. So if I feel like I'm kind of losing it and I need to step back and observe versus totally reacting and feeling it all heat up on the external and what is going on out there to make me feel that way. A real simple one that I love, that I feel like centers me a little bit deeper, honestly, is kind of hold in like you're trying to hold yourself from going to the restroom, and then drop your shoulders back and down, and feel it kind of come up from the bottom of your feet. And as you pull the breath up your body, feel like you're almost like extending out your solar plexus and sacral, and, you know, up to your throat for like 6 seconds, and then a longer exhale, but feel it move down your spine, and feel it and watch it go out your feet. I feel like that one really just kind of, I really get relaxed on that one. So practice some breath work. And then ultimately, you guys, what I did with all these tools was I just kind of put them all together and started playing around. So I would, you know, lay down for the meditation. Sometimes I'd fall asleep. Sometimes I'd make it through. I didn't, you know, get mad at myself for falling asleep. I just let my body lead. But I would lay down and I would put a crystal on the energy centers that match that energy center. And I would go through the affirmation of that energy center. So using the word love, which I used a lot in the beginning, was, you know, I am love. I feel love. I act on love. I love love. I speak love. I see love. We are connected to love. So I just started to put all that together. So I would have my smells, I would have my crystals, I would quiet my mind, I would pay attention to my breath, I would try new breath, I would say affirmations. And then it just got to a point where I was experiencing really more quiet places in my mind. And sure, stuff would float in. It's supposed to. We're human. But this time I could watch it go instead of like tense up and react, right? And I'm like, okay, you're here, bye, you know? And that was huge for me because that is something I've never been able to do. So yeah, so, you know, from Gaia to just using tools and learning, and learning and teaching myself different things and then trying to put them all together. That gave me peace in my space and not just outside on my walk. And it wasn't all the time, and it's still not all the time. Um, but it's easier for me to get to it now. And that just brings the connection back into my body. And it's our body that's really, nudging us and showing us. And if I pay attention to what it's telling me, then I can certainly use some of these tools and tricks to help me quiet my mind and step back a little bit more easily now than I certainly could 2, 3 years ago. So yeah, there's more of that alignment of your mind and your body. And I'm not here to tell you my path is a path by any means. I'm just sharing my tools. So take what resonates and obviously leave the rest, but play around with it and see if it helps you grow that connection and helps you stay in balance, a little bit longer each day. Because in that quiet mind and in that awareness, I have connected more with myself than I ever was my whole life. And my intuition definitely grew louder. And that was unexpected and what was so fun, right? Now I'm like, okay, why am I seeing 111? People talk about seeing those numbers all the time, and I'm like, I don't see numbers. Okay, now I see numbers. And does something weird pop in every now and again? Yeah. Do I smell my dad a little bit more now? Yeah. Is everything connected? Yeah, right? So play around, take what resonates. It's fun. It's fun to be curious. It's fun to be able to step into this awareness and understand yourself more. I mean, don't get me wrong. It took me a while. And there were some times I was not having it at all. But I don't regret it. Love and light.